Welcome to the WLAQ Community Spotlight, where we highlight the wonderful organizations and people that make the Rome community a great place to call home. Here's today's host.
Well, I'm your host, Elizabeth Davis, and glad to be back in the studio with you. I've got a great group of folks in the studio today representing the Cave Spring Historical Society. We've got Christa Jackson.
Hello, everybody.
She is their president of the board of directors. Also, Callie McCain,
Yes,
who is the facilities manager for the Historical Society. And also, we've got Ella Turner, who is one of the volunteers, one of the many volunteers at the Cave Spring Arts Festival. And that event is coming up this weekend at Rollator Park. It's an anniversary, the 50th.
Ooh,
so
big one.
We're here to kind of celebrate that milestone and encourage folks to come to the festival.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all for coming in today.
You're welcome.
We're so glad you had us. We're excited.
Well, and I'm glad to have you here. So we'll start by talking about the essentials, which this event is coming up on Saturday and Sunday. What are the hours and what all is going to be going on?
I have written on my little pad that the hours are Saturday from 9 to 6.
Correct.
And Sunday from 10 to 5.
Yes.
Yes, at Rollator Park, right there in the heart of Cave Spring. If you've ever been to Cave Spring, you know where the good water is, right, and the pool and everything.
Yes.
So Rollator Park is right there, and that's where the festival is too. And we're so excited to have it be our 50th festival, and think about what that must have been like 50 years ago when they had the very first one.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you are going to have some of the folks who helped to found this event in attendance.
We just found out. We're excited. Today, we knew that we have three major founders, I guess you would say. There were lots of people that helped, but three that kind of had the idea and did the groundwork to put it together to make it happen. One was Winnie Morrow, who she and Becky Davis had a little store in one of our old historic buildings, the Hearn Academy building. They had a little store called Park Bench in the front of that building, and it had a big tree in the back of that building that was laying on the building. And people would come to their little store to buy all kinds of handmade things. Both of those ladies are amazing artists. And they'd say, golly, these buildings over here in the park are so beautiful. Y'all need to do something to fix those up before they just fall in. And so we had another relatively newcomer to Cave Spring, whose name was Diane Dawson. And she and her husband had lots of knowledge about a lot of restoration things. But another thing is she was from Newnan, Georgia, and she had friends who put on the Powers Crossroads Festival, which at that time was like the best one in Georgia, Powers Crossroads. So she met with him and got lots of ideas, and that's how the festival got started to raise money to restore all those beautiful buildings in Cave Spring. So it was the three of them. And those three ladies will be with us for a proclamation that the city is doing for us, and to do a ribbon cutting just a little bit after it starts. It'll be at 10:30 at the park. So if you want to be there for a little historic event, be there. We're so excited. We do always have Becky, and we always have Winnie, and we're so thankful that they still live in Cave Spring.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of a surprise that we're going to get to have Diane, who's going to come back. She and her husband are coming from, they've moved back to the Newnan area, actually Franklin, Georgia, and they're going to be with us too. So it'll be her first time back in a while.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
Yes.
That will be fun. And prior to your opening festivities, you're actually going to have a 5K road race to raise funds for the Historical Society.
Yes. John Johnston heads that up.
Okay.
And he does a fabulous job.
Okay. And I assume that people can register for that and
They
help
can
the cause.
pre-register. I'm not sure how they do that.
I think-
and then there's a lot that pay on site.
Right.
Okay.
But John, I got to see the T-shirts yesterday. These are our new T-shirts for the 50th, which we're excited about. But John has a great T-shirt for the road race as well. And I think one of the most special things about the road race is that if you win, you get something. He is a potter, and so it goes along with our whole arts people being so talented. He makes the trophies,
Yes.
which are either platters, depending on what you win, or the mugs for whatever place you are if you win in your division
Yes.
in the road race, which I
Yes.
think is the most special thing.
It really is. He not only does that for the road race, but he does it for the polar plunge. He's done many things like that, and he's very talented.
Yeah, awesome.
He'll also be one of our judges for the 2D and 3D art. So he and a friend of his from, I think, Berry College, are going to be our judges this year.
Awesome. And this is a juried arts
It
festival.
is.
Yeah.
If you could explain, a lot of people are familiar with that term, but for folks who may not be.
So it's a 2D and 3D art. Basically, the only way I can put it into terms to understand for myself is hands-on art. And I'm not sure. I think that's the
That you made it all. Like,
it's a fine arts festival,
Right.
but you have a 2D art and a 3D art. We have potters. I'm not sure how those classifications go. They don't let me be a judge. That's just how that rolls. They let me organize
She's too
it.
busy doing everything else.
But then you have paintings that are at a whole different, or drawings, whole different classification.
Okay, awesome. And that said, there's going to be a variety of artwork for sale.
Yes.
Yes.
Just in time for Father's Day and other
Absolutely.
gift-giving occasions.
Yes.
I got to ask, because Ella's been a little bit quiet since we've been here. What is your favorite thing? Do you do a lot of gift-giving at the Arts Festival, and what's your favorite thing to buy?
Yes, ma'am. I love to buy stuff with quilts and marbles because one year my mama was sick and it was coming up 4th of July. So I bought her this teddy bear and it was 4th of July themed and it was really sweet.
Aw.
And that lady has been coming a lot of years, hadn't she? That teddy bear.
Yeah.
Nina Manuel and Kim Manuel, they're sisters, and it was a 4th of July bear. I do remember
I
that.
love
Yeah,
that.
she still has it in her room.
That's
Aw,
sweet.
that's
Let's
great.
talk about the vendors that will be present, because you guys have a lot that come back year after year, and they have all kinds of different types of art.
Yes.
I had written down some that you gave me.
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Go
But
ahead.
you would know a lot more about them. One of the names that I had down here was a lady named Joanne that makes quilted pot holders and bowls and all that. And her last name looks like it
Hagen.
says Hagen.
Joanne
And she'd been
Hagen.
coming for
Long time.
18 years.
15, 18 years.
Makes quilted items, and
Yes.
and she loves to come to Cave Spring.
Absolutely.
And then
those are the vendors
yeah.
that come. This is what's so wonderful. They come in and it's a joke really at the gate when they come in. They we know where to go, because they go straight back to the same place they go every year, and that
And
makes
people
set
look
up
for 'em
for
there.
us. And then. Yes, because
People
they
are-
have clients and customers that follow them, and they know exactly where to go back and find them.
Yeah,
And it just makes it easy. It makes it good for
Introduce
them.
their friends to them.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
there was another teddy bear maker, a Kim Manuel,
Kim Manuel, yes.
that makes teddy bears. It's been
Yes.
coming for a
And
long
then we
time.
have the Little Red Cabin Sweets and Treats.
Oh, the homemade ice cream.
Yes.
I love
so,
that stuff.
So Dad, Alaska's dad originally was our vendor, David, and now he's raised his kids up, and now he and his wife run it, and even to me, this is like the heart of Cave Spring, is because Alaska said, I don't have anybody that can work. It's Father's Day weekend. People don't want to work. Can you help? Well, I have a friend of mine whose son's home from UGA. Yay, willing to work. Another Cave Spring a friend of mine's willing to work. And it's like they
Everybody just
pitch
pitched in.
People pitch
It's
in
the way, isn't
to
it?
help it.
Well,
Yes.
look at this girl. She did the
Exactly.
same, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. There's been years that it has been flooded, and I mean, vendors had things floating away, and they all pitched in to help me spread straw or pine nuggets, whatever. The vendors help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Cave Spring is a family, and the festival is like that too. When I think about the festival back in the years when my boys were little and it was the earlier years, in the 80s of the festival. I think about how it was like a big reunion. Everybody came, and you would see people that you didn't see except maybe that one time a year. It was almost like a family reunion. And there was one of the things that drew us together to all see each other was the music. and we are adding music back for part of
Yes.
the day on Saturday and part of the day on Sunday. We'll have some nice bluegrass playing in the background that
That's gonna
will
be nice.
set the tone, right?
Yes.
It just
Kinda-
seems fitting for an arts festival. It just
It
really
does.
does.
It really does.
And you were talking about volunteers and how many people help each other out. That's how you got involved with the Arts Festival. Tell me your volunteer story, how you initially got involved when you were just 7 years old and you
I love
continue to
that.
be involved.
So I was 7 years old, and my whole family got like the stomach bug, so I had to come. And I've just initially started going into it and following it. It just has been my passion, and I've loved it ever since I was 7, and it's followed my heart, and I just love it.
Awesome.
Aw.
Awesome.
Precious.
So that said, are you looking for more volunteers? I know it's kind of close to
Every
the
day.
event, but
Every day.
yeah. So what's
Yeah.
the best way for folks to reach out if they're interested?
My number is everywhere, it seems like, but you can get my number off the Hearn Inn in front of the Hearn Inn. And then we also have a website, CavespringHistoricalSociety.com.
Okay.
And you
Awesome.
can email. But yes.
I know John Johnston was still looking for a few folks to stand in the road and help stop traffic and
Yes.
direct traffic.
And
as it
some
was
of
about-
my vendors who were first and couldn't get in last year, they were in that long stretch into Cave Spring from
Yes.
Cedartown. And I can't remember his name. He was a new guy. It was his first year last year. He was helping direct traffic.
I love
Yes.
that.
How funny is that?
Kind.
So
That's
because
kind.
they do have to in the early morning. The road race starts at 8:15. I think it's and
So
it
it's a traffic
starts
jam.
over in front of the old GSD Fannin building where the swimming pool is, and so it comes through town. Well, of course, that means you have to block off all the roads, and that means you do have people trying to get to the festival that can't get there because they are behind the blocked line.
You'll just
So-
have to be patient
right.
and bear with them because
So-
it's
Get
going
up
to be worth
earlier.
it.
Get up earlier.
Exactly.
Get up earlier.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. And go cheer the runners on, even
That's
if you
right.
don't want to run.
That's right.
You can cheer the runners on. It'll be a
Yeah,
good time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, as far as coming to the festival itself, there's a $5 admission fee.
Yes.
Is that for all ages?
No.
6 and under's free.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So all the money you raised from this event,
Goes directly back into the buildings.
yeah, and that's what kind of your specialty. So let's talk
Yes.
about the different historical structures in Cave Spring. I have to say this, Christy Kent with the Georgia's Rome Office of Tourism, anytime she talks about Cave Spring, she says there are probably more historic buildings in Cave Spring than anywhere else in Floyd County.
I think so.
Yeah, so
even
let's
some
talk
of our
about some of
homes
those.
there.
Or
yeah.
on the National Register of
Yeah.
Historic Places. yeah.
So inside the park, we have the Hearn Academy, which is the large white building, and then we have the Old Baptist Church, and then the Hearn Inn. But the Historical Society also takes care of our Presbyterian Church on Alabama Highway, and then we have the log cabin on Town Square, the caboose on Town Square, and now a new pavilion
Yeah,
going
yes,
up
and-
this week.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yes, and that pavilion will be. My thought process, and I've not really spoke to anybody about it, but just a place for people to sit and
Yes.
enjoy.
Sort of like under the gazebo, but a little further,
Yeah,
a little
Exactly,
further
because
down.
it's just right
Yes.
beside the cabin, and it'll be a place where you can take pictures. I see so many people in front of that caboose taking pictures, or prom kids on the front porch of the log cabin taking pictures. So those are our buildings, and all of the proceeds from not only this festival but also the Pickle Festival in October go back into the buildings,
And
that,
the polar plunge,
and
right?
the polar plunge,
Which is when
exactly.
everybody jumps into the great big Cave Spring
Yes, I see her
lake,
every
otherwise
year.
known as Cave Spring
Yes.
swimming pool,
I
right?
yes.
And everybody, every year I go there and they're like, "Are you going to do it?" I'm like,
You don't do it.
"I'll support the cause. I ain't jumping in that water,
No,
even
amen,
on a
sister.
100-degree day."
No.
'cause
It's
I think we should take up, like do a thing where we take up money to or see how much money it would take to have her to
It
jump
won't happen.
Billy Wayne tried
support
that.
you.
He tried that one year with me, and I held that cash box very tight. Like if I go in, it goes
That'd
in.
be a hard no.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to support the cause. It is a very worthy cause.
Absolutely.
So I want to kind of address the elephant in the room because as the time we are doing this program, the weather
say that.
forecast. I know. We hope that it will not talk about it and it'll go away.
Right.
But there is inclement weather in the forecast.
And there usually is every year. Last was it? I don't know if it was last year or the year before. It was red all across the radar. On Saturday, I had vendors forfeiting, saying we're not coming back with their straight line winds, and it was a beautiful Sunday. Welcome to Georgia.
Right.
So
in the summertime.
So there are no real weather plans. Just hope that it works
Rain or
out.
shine.
We're gonna be. We're
we've
gonna be
been there-
planning on.
We've been there
no
soaked,
rain.
and I've gone over to the Hernian to dry my clothes and put on a fresh pair
Okay.
to keep going. I mean, it is rain or shine.
I do want you to tell them though about all the folks that might be looking for a place to have a wedding, or might be looking for a place to
Yes,
have
yes.
a party or a class reunion. That
Yes.
those buildings that you're talking about, and that she
Exactly.
really
Thank you
takes
for
care
that.
of.
Yeah. So we, as a historical society, use the Hearn Academy and the chapel for a wedding venue. So you can always get me at 706-381-2060. Nice little plug there. And not only do we use it as a wedding venue, office parties, birthday party rentals, baby showers, bridal showers.
It's a beautiful
really
beautiful
is.
building. Both
really
of them
is.
are. And then the inn.
The inn is my favorite. It's 8-bedroom, 4.5 bath, and each room is priced a little differently. But I have 2 rooms with private bath, a king and a queen, and some rent the whole thing. You rent the whole thing; it knocks off 10%.
Great
but
for family reunions and
Exactly.
girls trips. And
But I already have full rentals for next year.
Wow.
Repeat people. So this year I'm booked with vendors who have been in these same rooms for years.
Oh,
And they don't call. I just know to put them on that calendar, and they have a place to stay when they get here.
Yeah,
So that's the wonderful part.
yeah, yeah.
It's a beautiful place to have an event. My son Cleve and his wife Amelia got married in the Old Baptist Church and had their reception in the Academy
wow.
building. It was just beautiful.
And of course, that's a building that often gets used for always gets used for small town Christmas in the country. Which
Exactly.
that's when
Absolutely.
I'm usually passing through
Yes.
that building
True.
because I got to get my jelly from
Exactly.
Susan and Amanda.
Exactly.
You and lots of other people,
Yeah,
right?
it's good
Yes.
stuff.
Yes,
It's
it
good
is.
stuff. Now I know you want shoppers to, just bring a bunch of cash and plan to spend a lot of money at the Arts Festival, but you also want them to bring enough cash to go visit the businesses and restaurants in Cave
so
Spring.
Most
Great.
importantly, yes, so that our merchants get a piece of the action as well. And even there's just so much to see. Even if you're not planning on shopping, which there's some people that just come to visit and they'll go in and out of each store. I had a group of ladies last weekend at the Hernian, and they didn't do a lot of shopping. They had a little bit, but they went in every store multiple times. And that is, they take back, they weren't prepared for the urns, the concrete planters at Kurt's at Antiques on the Square, and she's like, if I'd only known those had been there, do you know how pricey those are in our hometown? And it's like, well, next time bring a truck.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's that's just the way that rolls. And there is so much to see in town.
And you can just walk to all of it. You park your car and you can walk to everything.
Yeah.
And all the restaurants, I'm sure, that are open now, the ones that are open on Saturdays and Sundays will be open. And
Yes.
so if you choose not to eat in the park, you want to go to a nice air-conditioned place, too, to eat, that's a great opportunity
My
to
ideal
do that,
plan
too.
with this is to maybe go. Well, let's see. Southern Flavor is only open weekdays, so they won't be open that day. But I know that Creekside will be open that day. Stagecoach, which is if you love pizza, Stagecoach is it, and Local
Fabulous.
Joe's.
Yes.
Any of those be good to go have lunch over there, and then go get some ice cream at the park.
There you go.
Fudge.
Or fudge. Oh, at the
yeah,
Peddler.
Peddler.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Hey, speaking of sweets, I got to ask you: is the Cotton Candy Man going to be at the Arts Festival this year?
I have no idea. So I had help on the applications this year. Billy Wayne took care of some of the applications. So I don't know. I do know that we have the Log Cabin Sweets and Treats. That's ice cream and frozen chocolate dipped fruit. And then he also has the skillet potato bar.
Oh, my
I don't know if you
goodness.
remember that from last year.
Oh, my goodness.
So last year was his first year. And then we, of course, have the Perrys, who is like smoked sausage and bell pepper and onions. Then we have the Sailors, who they have pork skins and chicken on a stick and all of these things. So
And you can eat all that while you're listening to our bluegrass. And I do want to put a little plug in for my buddy, Russell McClanahan, who's coming with a couple of his buddies on Sunday. They'll be our Sunday
Wonderful.
afternoon pickers
Yeah.
and grinners.
I
And
love
Russell
that.
loves Cave Spring and is excited to be back. He's not been in a while, so he's excited to come back. Our entertainment on Saturday is a group from Gadsden, and the name of that group is Trio, Treo, even though I think there's 4 of them, but it's called Trio. But they have, banjos and fiddles and a big boom, boom. What do you call that?
Bass?
The big old bass.
Stand-up
Big old
bass.
stand-up bass.
Sarah Bro Matt knows. Upright bass.
Okay,
Yeah.
upright bass.
Our producer extraordinaire, Matt Davis, in the studio.
So we're excited about music being back. We're excited about all the vendors that are new and old that have been before and that are new this year.
Absolutely.
We're excited about our history that our founders are going to be back with us. We're excited to
And speaking of music history, I definitely don't want us to finish this up without talking about a celebrity that has performed at Cave Spring Arts Festival before he was famous.
Exactly. So I talked to you a minute ago about Diane Dawson, who was instrumental in starting the festival and who was our mayor for a while. Well, when they first started the festival, probably somewhere around 1977, 76, 77, they were just trying to get people in to play that weren't going to charge them a lot, trying to get any group. She had a brother who had a little band. Diane had a brother that had a little band, and she said, Alan, why don't you come on and play for us? That happened to be her brother, Alan Jackson, who played on our stage at our festival way back before he ever went to
Way back
Nashville.
before Chattahoochee.
There we go. Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask it, but I thought, I'm doing good right now. I better not go any further. But it would be so amazing if we could have Alan Jackson back for a little encore. But he did, before anybody knew who Alan Jackson was, he was playing on the stage at the Cave Spring Arts Festival. So that's
just
pretty
cool.
pretty awesome, isn't it?
I know.
So Diane Dawson was Diane Jackson from Newnan, Georgia, which is where Alan's from, and so that's how all that came to be. And so we call that our claim to fame, to have a little
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Alan Jackson playing the Cave Spring Arts
Spring,
Festival
exactly.
way before the Chattahoochee
That's
days.
right.
Hey, we've got just a minute or two left before we got to wrap it up. But for those of you, well, I guess you don't really have to. You had captions on TV. It's a little different from radio. You don't have to necessarily continually introduce your guests, but I'm going to do so anyway. Representing the Cave Spring Historical Society, Christa Jackson, the president of their board of directors. Also, Callie McCain. Callie McCain, she is the facilities manager for the Historical Society. And Ella Turner, who is Callie's granddaughter. She is also an avid volunteer at the Cave Spring Arts Festival and has been for since she's little. So you guys, we got about a minute or so left. Any parting thoughts that you want to make absolute certain that people know about this event?
Well, I know sometimes people say, "Ooh, $5. How come you have to charge $5?" Well, let me
pretty
just tell
reasonable
you,
if you think
I
about
think
it.
it's very reasonable, and especially 6 and under free. But every dollar of that, y'all, goes back to making those buildings look like they look. You just don't know how often they need painting, how much the utilities are, how much the insurance is. And all of that has to be paid for by the Historical Society for those
Exactly.
buildings. And so every bit of the money that we make, it's going back to keep our town, our city, the wonderful place that everybody
So
loves.
roughly for the last 3 years, our net profit has been for just this festival alone, $32,000, which is a big deal to me.
It's a
I
lot.
think the first year I volunteered, it might have been 11, and I don't remember what year that was. It's been many years ago. But just last year, the Hearn Inn was painted, and it was roughly not quite 30 grand.
to paint it. So you see how much it costs.
Old buildings, their best friend is money, not time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're constantly trying to figure out how to raise money. You know, now our biggest obstacle is the floor restoration. They've not been restored since Diane
Was
aided in
back
getting
in
all that going.
the 70s.
So you think about how many years that's been, 50 plus. And so now we're trying to figure out how to raise money for that.
And they all were restored at the same time, so they all wear out at the same time, right? And so when you pay that $5, do it willingly, because it is a great opportunity to keep our beautiful. I think there's a tree in the back of the Presbyterian Church right now. I think there's
that's
a
on the
tree
roof.
that's fallen on the roof.
Yeah.
So that's got to be fixed. That roof's got to be fixed. And so
So-
those are things all the time that
I was going to say, in addition to paying your $5 fee, you might want to chip in a little bit extra.
that would be
Absolutely.
fabulous
Yeah.
too.
As
Yes.
you can.
And that
yeah.
said, there might be people who have, already had something else going on out of town, whatever, this weekend, or maybe just they're hesitant about getting out in the weather, but they've heard us talk and they think it's a great cause and they want to support it. What's the best way for them to do that?
I think you can make a donation on our website. I think you can at Cave Spring Historical Society. No,
I'm not sure.
You don't think so?
Oh, I don't know.
gonna
I'm not
look.
sure.
But you can probably find contact information from somebody who would gladly take your
Absolutely.
donation.
I can promise you that Rip at the Peddler would be able to tell you how to do that in a great way.
The Historical Society is basically as human as everyone else. We were compromised on our bank account last year, and I can't remember how many thousands of dollars we were compromised for. So we have tried to find the safest way for a donation link, and we are in the works of having that done, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Okay, it may not be them.
Yeah.
It has a contact. It says contact. So you're right. There's
Maybe
not
you
a
could just
link
take
yet.
a cash or check over there to Rip Montgomery at the Peddler, and while you're in there, get you some fudge.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And is
Yes.
this your number right here? Is that you?
Yes, that's the landline
You
for the
can find,
hernia.
you can find her on the, and if you can find Callie, you can also make a donation that way
that's right.
also.
Cave
That would
Spring
be so
Historical
great.
Society.org.
.com.
Yep.
Yeah, we remember that commercial.
That's
I don't
right.
remember
We
what it was
sure do.
for, but
Yes,
we're
I don't
getting,
know.
We're getting up there. Thank you guys so much for coming in today.
was so
This has
much
been a
fun.
pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
And
Yes.
we're praying for good weather and
Yes.
looking
Yes.
forward to
Yes.
this weekend.
Come to Cave Spring.
Yes. Y'all make your plans to attend the 50th annual Cave Spring Arts Festival going on this Saturday and Sunday down in Cave Spring, Georgia. My guests in the studio to talk about that event, Christa Jackson, Callie McCain, and Ella Turner. And with that, we got to wrap up today's edition of WLAQ Community Spotlight. Have a great day.
This has been the WLAQ Community Spotlight. We thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the WLAQ Radio YouTube channel and follow WLAQ Rome on Facebook.